Are you a homosexual? Hello and welcome to another episode of Queer Peer Reviews, where we review queer media, good, bad, and ugly. I'm your host, Jamie, and today with me is my co-host, Lewis.
Hey! Here at Queer Peer Reviews, we review your favorite and not so favorite TV, movie, and video games with queer representation.
So today we are going to be reviewing the classic film from 1999, But I'm a Cheerleader, starring Natasha Lyonne. So Natasha Lyonne plays a character named Megan, who is a cheerleader, and from the very beginning we get the sense that maybe she might be a lesbian, a homosexual, if you will. One of those things. But she has a boyfriend, and it's really strange. Whenever her boyfriend kisses her, she looks so uncomfortable. She doesn't like the way her boyfriend kisses her.
That's fine. I wouldn't either, alright? Because if a man came up to me and kissed me the way that this animal kisses her, alright, I would be a little repulsed, alright? You don't come at me because... I thought so. See? A valid, visceral response to that, okay? So you can't hold her responsible for her visceral reaction against her man's.
There's people around Megan that kind of sense that maybe she might be gay. Her parents, super religious. Her friends, they see Megan open up her locker. She has pictures of like women in bras, like really busty women.
Right now, like right as we're being introduced to all of this, like yes, we're introduced to her being a cheerleader. She's in the gym. We're watching these other cheerleaders fly up in the air, do their tricks, do their acrobatics, whatever you want to call them. And we see all of that, and then it cuts into like these frames of like their boobs bouncing when they do the flip, their butt cheeks flapping in the wind when...
That's the intro. Mind you, this is the intro of the movie.
Of the movie, yes. So like it's cutting to all of like these erotic clips, right, of these normal day-to-day things. So it's painting this picture that for Megan, this is all normal to her. Like she doesn't see anything wrong with this.
And it kind of seems like everybody thinks Megan is gay except for herself. So when she appears home, she's kind of confused why Sir RuPaul, in a shirt that says straight is great, is at her house telling her, hey, like, your parents told me that you might be gay. So Megan gets taken to this, I guess, campus for the conversion therapy group called True Directions. And this is where her journey begins. She gets put in these like gray slacks, and they tell her, you cannot dress up until you finish step 1 of our 5-step program, which is admitting you're a homosexual. Can we get a admitting you're a homosexual with some sparkles over here?
You're gay! Surprise!
So yeah, Megan gets introduced to all the other campgoers. There's like all dressed in pink and blue stereotypical uniforms.
So they're all sitting, kind of introducing themselves, and then, yeah, we get, like, step 1, admitting you're a homosexual. Everyone kind of goes in, does their, hi, my name is Lewis, then it moves on to the next person, until it all lands on Megan. And Megan starts with her introduction, like, gives her name, gives, like, I'm a cheerleader, and then she starts talking about how she's not gay.
Yeah, like all the reasonings why she's not a homosexual, they kind of spin it around and be like, you do realize that's because you are gay, right? Like all these different things about like her boyfriend, like not wanting to sleep with him. And like she says, it's because I'm a Christian and like I'm a good Christian, I'm not gonna sleep with my boyfriend. No, it's because you do not want to sleep with your boyfriend and because he's a man. And you know, after that, she starts spiraling and the math starts mathing, the light bulb goes off, and out of the most saddened and hurt voice you've ever heard come from this woman, all you hear her start screaming is, oh my God, I'm a homosexual! I'm a homosexual! And she starts crying. She finally realizes that everything she's thought is normal for a heterosexual woman was really because she herself was gay. Step 1, complete. She can now wear her
Colors.
so that she's graduated on to step 2, which is rediscovering your gender identity, aka all the girls and boys split. The girls learned how to cook, clean, sew, all that fun stuff that women are supposed to do. And all the men, they learned how to fix a car, change a tire. They started like learning how to use guns, and like you see RuPaul with a gun and all the boys are like pew 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 pew, like.
Honestly, it brought me back to like when we were on the verge of World War III and we were seeing all those TikTok memes about don't send me to war. That's where they stole the trend from.
But yeah, and there's this other girl in the group, her name is Graham, and she gets paired up with Megan because they say, okay, we want you to find a buddy who you're gonna like basically bounce ideas off of back and forth of like, how are we gonna overcome our homosexuality and become the straight people we were meant to be? So after they complete step 2 of their gender identities, we go to step 3, which is family therapy. And this is when we learn that Graham's parents are like super homophobic in terms of if you come back and you're still a homosexual, you will not have a place to sleep.
Yeah. But yeah, when we kind of get that glimpse of like Megan's backstory, her roots per se, again, we see the counselor or like the headmistress of the camp kind of gaslighting and putting words in people's mouths yet again. And also just like severely criticizing or critiquing, should I say, like she's finding that fine-tooth comb detail in everything because she starts explaining how, you know, her father didn't have a job and that her mother really rose up and took to the plate of the household as like the breadwinner and everything. Immediately, the counselor saw that and was, oh, so you saw a powerful woman and that confused you.
Yeah.
Because a woman is to have no power in the household.
Yeah, and your father is weak and now you just hate men because he had to make your mom do all the work and stuff like that. That's why you're gay.
Yeah, so she really twisted it and said, sweetheart, it's not your fault you're gay. It's theirs.
It's your parents' fault. But yeah, before we reach step 4, a few other things happening. We start seeing some sort of crush start developing between Megan and Graham. They stare at each other from across like the lunch tables. They're working close together because they got paired together.
One-man jobs are now two-man jobs.
And then one night, Megan kind of couldn't sleep. She gets up to walk around, and she catches 2 of the boys at the camp kind of rolling around together on the floor. You know what we mean.
What do you mean?
Sex,
Okay.
making out, you know, the works. And Megan screams, oh my god, ew, ew.
Ew, ew, they're doing the gay.
So that gets, the one kid is named Dolph. He gets kicked out while the other boy gets put in this like little hut of
The doggy
isolation.
house?
And everyone kind of now sees Megan kind of as the enemy, but Graham like stands up for her. So this brings us to step 4 of this program, demystifying the opposite sex.
Jamie, what does that mean?
I have no idea what that's supposed to mean.
Well, let's think about it. 2 brains, right? So D, the prefix, means to not.
Okay,
Okay.
okay. And
Mystifying.
mystery.
So not be a mystery, make the opposite sex not a mystery.
There you go. We have, Lewis is a teacher, everybody. He
And
broke it down for us. So we're trying to make the gay kids more aware of the opposite sex. This is how you have sex with a man. This is how you have sex with a woman. So when they like go off and be a nice hetero couple, they know what to do. We find that these 2 guys who were a part of the program, 2 gay men, I think they're a couple, Lloyd and Larry, are picking up a bunch of kids from the camp to bring them to a bar called Cocksuckers. So they venture over to Cocksuckers Bar.
the club was called Cocksuckers.
Wait, oh, I'm sorry,
So while they are at Cocksuckers Bar, Megan and Graham start like flirting a little bit with each other at the bar, but then this woman approaches Megan and takes her to dance, and then Graham starts dancing with another girl from the camp. Megan gets jealous. They lock eyes with each other the entire time.
And then we see Megan storm out of the cocksucker club. And obviously, rightfully so, she's upset. Her crush was just seen all up on another woman.
But Graham chases after her, and after a little bit of argument and like tension, they finally kiss for the first time.
I don't want her. I want you. Mwah! Disgusting. Right when they got back from the club, headmistress came in to do a room check, and they were almost caught.
Yes.
But then we get led into the morning.
Yes.
When this mistress was doing a little extra snooping and found something.
Yeah, she found a book of matches from the cocksucker's bar. So Graham kind of takes the fall here, but instead of being kicked out, she kind of explains that Lloyd and Larry are the people who took them to cocksuckers. Mary takes all the gay kids over to Lloyd and Larry's house with picket signs saying, "Gay is not the way, gay is not the way," and like all these other things that's just chanting and trying to harass Lloyd and Larry to come out of their house.
We need to put up a picture somewhere on this frame of Megan's picket sign because this had me on the floor rolling. Rolling.
And this brings us to our final step, the final test. We don't quite get there yet, but we're preparing the students for the final test of no longer being a homosexual. We do gender norm evaluations, make sure all the girls know how to cook, clean, sew, etc., and all the boys know how to do all that the manly stuff they were teaching them. And after the evaluations, we learn that one of the kids winds up failing and is now being kicked out of the program because he failed to realize he was straight. So on his way out, he calls everybody a liar, you guys know what you really are, just to show that like, while he was going through all these steps, like deep down he knew like, I'm gay, like everyone here is just pretending right now to not be gay. Megan and Graham finally get together to kind of celebrate passing their I'm not a homosexual evaluations and wind up having sex with each other. Totally not homosexual. After Megan and Graham have sex, they kind of start talking to each other about like life after and like I wish I could see you cheer, like just all this like sweet talk. The next morning, Mary finds out that Graham and Megan slept with each other.
So during this like intervention between Megan and Graham, they're kind of both given, I guess what you could call like an ultimatum, where for this gender norm evaluation, they would have to pair up with the headmistress's son. And we all know throughout the course of the movie that this is probably one of the sexiest, most flamboyant men in the film. However,
RuPaul would agree.
RuPaul would definitely agree. But we see them given this like ultimatum where it's like, all right, you have to be paired with them or you're gonna get kicked out. And Megan just flat out disagrees with that and she declines. And we see that she gets thrown out, but out comes Graham from the intervention room, still involved in the camp.
Because she took the deal to be paired up with Rock, the son. So after being kicked out, obviously she can't go home because of what her parents had said to her. So she winds up going to Lloyd and Larry's house, which she finds out that Dolph, the guy who got kicked out, also went there. So the two of them kind of talk about like what happened, and they come to the realization, okay, we need to save Graham before she goes through with all this. And this brings us to the final step, step 5, which is the simulated sex lifestyle. Yeah, this scene is really awkward. They need to like get into the positions of heterosexual sex to make sure they are ready for it. And it's just, yeah.
Making sure you know how to properly grab a man as a woman, or making sure you know how to properly grab a woman as a man, or how to kiss gently, and all kinds of other super cringy tests that they were put through.
Yeah, so everyone who's left in the program winds up passing, and this brings us to the graduation ceremony. Megan winds up crashing the graduation ceremony to save Graham. She kind of like sneaks in like all commando. At first, Graham refuses. Like, she's like, no, like, you need to get out of here.
Then finally, in true Megan cheerleader fashion, she comes out and becomes the star of the ceremony herself. She comes flaunting in down the center aisle, doing her flips, her tricks, her pom-poms in the air, and, you know, just all hell breaking loose. This lesbian girl is coming and breaking this gay to straight graduation ceremony, and we see that it looks like it failed. Her attempt to like get Graham one last time from this graduation ceremony, it kind of failed. She left.
Yeah, she kind of does this like little cheer for Graham to be like I love you, like come with me, like we could be together, but nothing happens. So Megan runs back to the truck to escape because they're all about to get kicked out of this graduation ceremony.
And just like that, we hear a voice in the distance.
Wait! Megan!
And out comes running Graham.
The movie ends with Graham and Megan, Dolph and his boy, I forget his name. They escape the conversion therapy camp and they are set to live the rest of their lives as homosexuals.
Step 1, admitting you're a homosexual.
Are you a homosexual?
I'm a homosexual.
All right, let's get to the ratings. Here at Queer Peer Reviews, we rate everything we review out of 5 different categories for a grand total of 100.
First up, we're going to be looking at representation.
So, for dear God.
What the fuck was that?
It's the Malibu Cokes from last night.
So for representation, I give it an 8.
I give it an 8.5.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, let's get it straight. This was a comedy, so like obviously stereotypes are gonna be present.
I would even label it as like a parody comedy. Like
Yeah.
parody subcategory of comedy. It was interesting, to say the least.
Yes, definitely a classic. But obviously, these are all stereotypes. It's not the best representation of what a queer person may act like or experience. But then again, you gotta take in consideration, it's for comedic purposes. It was definitely there, and honestly, it was relatable at some parts, especially.
Absolutely.
We had gay men, gay women, bi characters, we had a trans character. I don't know if they also identified as non-binary.
Yeah, we also saw like a lot of those stereotypes. We had the more flamboyant men, we had the more butch men, we had
Butch women.
butch women, we had more flamboyant women, feminine women, should I say. We also had a great representation of just gay icons in the world. RuPaul was playing a
as
character.
the straight man with that. I can't get over the shirt of him wearing straight is great. I wonder if RuPaul has that in his closet still.
Make America straight again.
Next up is our queer comfort scale.
Next up, for queer comfort, we give it a...
I give it a 9.
I also give it a 9.
Very nice. Ding. This is about to fall off the board. Yeah, I mean, while this did take place in a conversion therapy setting, it was a comedy. They were making fun of how conversion therapy is stupid. And they did a very good job of just portraying that. And I was laughing so hard sometimes. This is definitely a comfort movie.
Yeah.
And the fact that it came out 1999, 2000, like, that's different for something that came out back then. You would not see something like that.
Yeah, it was definitely testing its times, but looking at it now, it's just, yeah, I was laughing from start to finish with this movie.
It's a classic, and I'm honestly so surprised I've never seen it beforehand. I've definitely heard of it, but I just never watched it before.
Next up, we'll be rating originality.
So, for originality, I give it an 8.5.
I give it an 8.01.
Why?
Because why not? We're doing decimals. I felt like going all out.
Okay. While this did come out super early when there wasn't a lot of queer representation, obviously like the inspiration from it stemmed from like actual conversion therapy, like all the stereotypes. Like I wouldn't say making stereotypes like your whole plot is really like super original, but then again, like comedy about conversion therapy camp, you usually see it as like a serious movie about why conversion therapy camp is good, and that is why I do give it an 8.5 because I don't think I've seen conversion therapy camp
I
comedy
agree.
before.
I give it an 8.01 because again, yes, I haven't seen something in a comedy manner about, you know, conversion therapy camp and all of that stuff. So I will give it like its originality on that. However, what's so original about being over-exaggerating gay stereotypes, okay? Homophobes have been doing that since the start. Still, like the storyline of it, this girl, you know, she is having this gay awakening without even realizing she's gay all through it because of an intervention. And it was like a creative and original story piece within itself. But then again, you know, those gay stereotypes, the over-exaggeration of them, these like plot points, I feel like we've seen it before. But it was fun and it was interesting to see it in a more parody comedic manner.
Next up, let's talk about the writing.
For writing, can I get a drum roll, please? We give it a 9.1.
I give it an 8.7.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want to start off because I want to give a huge shout out to the John Doe in my book who wrote the sign, "Silly gays, dicks are for chicks," because that right there, iconic within itself. It was posted on all of my social media stories the day we watched that movie. Yeah, it made me also, just like the whole movie in general, made me laugh from start to finish. Again, it kind of over-exaggerated those like homosexual stereotypes, but it was funny. It was done in a funny manner. Respectful, sure, just because of the actor and actress choices, I'll give them that in a respectful manner. Just because, you know, RuPaul is in there and everyone else, just gay icons. So for that, I stand behind my 9.1.
Yes, and by all means, my 8.7 is not a bad 8.7 at all. I think it's sometimes hard for comedies, like the entire time. Like some jokes, like you might think are dry and whatnot, but like in this, I was laughing the entire time. I was thoroughly entertained, but it was silly. I just feel like in terms of like the storyline, of course, like we're trying to say like, okay, conversion therapies are stupid, but I feel like there wasn't much of a lesson really. It was just more of her discovering that she was gay.
No, that was the thing. It was just, it was a comedy. It was just poking fun.
Yeah, it was silly, haha, hee hee fun. I love corny comedy so much, but 8.7 for me.
And finally, our overall feelings towards the film.
So, for our overall feelings towards the film, I give it a 9.7.
I give it a 9.4.
Ooh. But yeah, like I said, I wish this was something I had seen earlier in life, because honestly, I feel like I would have learned more about myself a little earlier in life.
You would have been gaslit into thinking you were a lesbian? Is that what you're trying to tell me right now?
I would have related to Natasha Lyonne's characters so much.
Of being gaslit into
No,
realizing you're a homosexual?
The gaslighting helped, but she was not gaslit.
But you admit she was gaslit!
She was gaslit. I'm not talking about the gaslit. Great movie. It's a classic.
Yeah, I also stand by my 9.4. It was a comedy. It made me laugh start to finish. It's very rare that a movie could do that. It's rare that a movie could hold my attention for its entire duration, me and my ADHD. But, you know, it kept sucking my attention back. It gave me those funny haha moments to keep me intrigued, to keep me, like, not on the edge of my seat per se, but, like, I was always waiting for that next laugh. And it was great, down to like the names of the clubs, like Cocksucker. Are you kidding me?
And the fact that this was a comedy about gay people from the year it did come out, it still holds up extremely well today. It's not like one of those films that's like, ooh, maybe you shouldn't say that anymore, but it holds up very well. All right, let's get to our QPR total. AJ, could you hit us with that gay shit?
But I'm a Cheerleader comes in at 87.91 out of 100, giving it a gay minus.
A gay minus, yes. A very high rank for a classic film that honestly everyone should watch. I feel like we say this about all the good films, but honestly, you should watch But I'm a Cheerleader. It's definitely a classic.
Wait, I just realized the beat fell off.
The what?
When did that?